Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Immersive Railroading Minecraft. This is Silver. Welcome to Gaming in the Grove. So, as you can already tell, it's very pretty out, but I'm in a very different vehicle. I am actually in a diesel vehicle right now. There's only one issue I had with this entire thing is I originally wanted to do this on one of those old pumping hand carts. The model that comes with the mod isn't animated, so it kind of just it's very static while you move along the tracks. It's kind of it's a bit weird. So instead, I got in the modern version of that. It's a little bit of a rail car. This came in one of the resource packs. So, as you can see, there's our locomotive and our train that you saw me finish off the last episode with. There's only one thing different about this compared to those. This requires diesel, but here's the thing. I don't have diesel. The mod used to require you to have immersive engineering included with it, but after a few updates, and most recently, the most recent update made sure that it's no longer reliant on anything else. Well, except for this. There's no diesel that comes included with the mod. Because it expects you to have other mods installed that include diesel in there. And since there is no diesel included, I had to go into the config and add in water as an option. It has all these different options for diesel alternatives. But water wasn't one of them, so I made it water, so now my diesel locomotives are running off of water. Hey, ultra green. Anyway. Oh, there's the switch. I forgot to reset it after last episode. Now, there's a reason why we're just kind of strolling down the track in this little bit of a speeder. Because we're going to focus on building. I could show you diesels and everything, but, well, we kind of already here. That wasn't originally the plan, but you know, quickly doing it. It's the same forward and backwards motion of the steam locomotive, only instead of having a steam up period and needing coal and water, you just need diesel or whatever your alternative might be, in my case, water. And then you hit the plus button on your number pad, and it will slowly heat up the engine. Now, this is the cool thing about diesel locomotives. Be warned, this can also cause issues. If you start telling it to go forward, it will heat up the motor faster. Much like a car, if it's cold, telling it to drive will make the motor heat up faster and kind of keep the car going. Now, this was a great thing for me because very quickly I could, you know, get us going. But downside is, it does mean there is still a bit of a warm-up time for even the diesel locomotives. This is the end of the track. This is about where I ended the video last time, actually. And after this, we're going to get right into the new part, the new thing this video is actually about. Building track. Which is kind of ironic that we're in a speeder to kind of start the video off. Seriously? Rain? Oop! Well, thank goodness it's not a big locomotive. Now, to get rid of these, you need to shift and click, and it puts them in your inventory. Now, I'm just gonna... Anyway, not focusing on that. We'll focus instead on what we're here to do. Build track. Now, I have quite a bit of track already laid out, but we're actually going to show you the mod menu and show you how to build new track. So, one of the ways to get there is you go in here, click this, and there you are. You may remember it briefly from episode 1, but this time we're going to go into much more detail. Up here you have all your track styles. If you don't have anything but the default, you're just going to have default, and I think concrete ties and rails only. Like you're going to have a few, but you're not going to have a large amount. You get a whole lot more when you get resource packs. There are a bunch of different types of tracks that come with the resource packs, and it's kind of a good selection. There's a whole lot of things that different kind of match your needs. If you want subways, if you want more Minecraft looking, if you want something that's a bit more train looking, something you want. There's all different types of styles. I tend to use the Southern Pacific Santa Fe PAX track because I think it looks really kind of cool. And we're just going to use the normal ballast here. Now, right now, this is set to 10 blocks. So this track will now be placed over a 10 block space. If I didn't have this gravel ballast track, if you had like the default one, what you could do is you could actually tell it what you want the track to be under it to be, and it'll create a small little layer of ballast underneath the track. And if there's any empty space underneath it, you could also fill it in with any of these different blocks. So essentially, if you're placing track over an area where there is no like ground underneath, you can do that. If you have changed the config, there are various options in the configurations that you can change where you can now place track floating, or if you want to place it without any blocks underneath it at all. That is entirely options that are in the config, and they are available for you to change just like I did for the diesel. Other things here that we should probably note is position. Position doesn't matter for straight track. It's going to matter for something about to come up, which we're going to start getting into that. There's a crossing option for if you want to do crossings. There's slopes, which right now this means you're going up 1 block for 10 blocks. That's extremely fast, and a lot of your locomotives will have issues with that unless you're going at a sprinting pace. So you're probably better off to do 30, 40, 50, 60 blocks. That's a lot of blocks, and that's why I'm using this TerraForged map, because it works much better with longer distances, smaller, shorter slopes up and everything. There's also turns, which as you can see here, there's a 90-degree option, a 67-degree, 45, and a 22. 22 is the shortest it goes. That's usually really good for for like switches and stuff. I have yet to test it back at the main area. I'm trying to see if maybe I can do the 22-degree turn for that 20 for longer. If not, there is another option to kind of replace that. It's just going to take me some time to figure out some of that stuff. When you decide how far you want to go, you can do direction flexible, which means whichever way you're pointing is where the curve will face, or you can change the direction to lock which way it's going. Now, no matter how you turn it, it'll be locked left or locked right. The other thing here that we kind of should probably notice is vertical smoothing. Vertical smoothing isn't something I've had to really deal with much. I don't know what it means yet, actually, because I've not had the chance to play with it. So, yeah. The gauge, this is something I tend to use more in my other videos. So as the sun sets, I'll show you that standard gauge. But we also have 3-foot, narrow, Minecraft, 15-inch. So if you want like a model railroad, you could absolutely start making model railroads in here. And then there's even a model gauge, which a model gauge is really small. There's that darn rain again. Give me 1 second. We'll try and wait this out till morning. Alright, that rain and the morning has come. Sorry, the rain has gone and the morning has come. It's gonna flub all my words. And I'm going to go ahead and show you what the model gauge looks like. Let's say, I don't know, let's get a boxcar. Yeah, boxcar. There we are. That's model gauge. Really small. Kind of adorable. Now, there's standard gauge. Same model, just different gauges, different sizes. So, depending on what you want to do, you have the tools ready for you, ready to go. Just going to go ahead and get rid of those and put those back in my inventory. Also, if you take out the track underneath the train will stay there, but if you replace the track under it, it will be perfectly fine. So do us all a favor and put back under and then delete your trains. Then do that. So, other than turns, there is also the switch option, which switches are essentially a straight piece as well as a curved piece. And then last but not least, turntables. I believe this is the last one. The last one before the kind of custom thing. Turntables are a bit more... I haven't really used them with the model gauge, so I don't know. They're small. They're kind of adorable. That's what I have back at the main area. You probably have seen the turntable there. And then there's this custom gauge, custom curves, which I have not set it up to do anything, so this is just the standard. This is what the standard custom curve looks like. This is essentially what you can do with a custom curve. It requires a bit of know-how to use, and I have not used it enough, so I can't actually give you advice on how to use it correctly. I can just tell you that this is a bit more of a complexity. This is more for advanced users. There is information on how to create and use custom curves on the Discord for Immersive Railroading, as well as their page, I believe. So check out them if you'd like to know more about that. That's a more advanced thing. I'm not going to focus on that. What I'm going to go back and focus on is straight track. There's also broad gauge. Don't worry about that. Brunel as well. But what we're going to be focusing on now is standard track. So, just going to go ahead and place down a normal track. And as you can see, it places it in the 10 blocks. Now, if I make a little space here, you'll notice that there's a bunch of blocks here in the way, kind of blocking the track. For this mod, what they've done is that when you place track, it will break the blocks around it. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. As you can see, it makes a nice clear cut here so the track can get through. But there is one issue. Models are going to look really weird. So I always suggest doing at least one block off to the side in straight pieces. And in curves, I try and suggest at least 2 or 3. Because your cars are going to be bending over that entire curve. So you want to have space for the train to get around it without clipping through blocks. Unless you like clipping, and then congratulations, you can clip to your heart's desire. Some people like clipping. As you can see, it also breaks anything like plants and grass and otherwise. So that as you place the track, it just is there. Now there is another option here at the bottom you may have noticed. There's this place blueprint option. What that means is it will create a blueprint. Instead of placing it, you can now see exactly where the track will go. You can know everything about it. It does not help too much when you're building into mountains and stuff because, man, it likes raining today. Give me 1 second to see if I can fix this. Alright, got that weather taken care of. Hopefully that shouldn't bother us again. I swear, I just need a sunny day. Ugh. Anyway, we were talking about the blueprints. Blueprints, just need to click on them with your right click the spike, and then you can see all the options for them. Here you can change them. If you want to change the length, let's say we want to go to 25. Just do that, press enter, and then hit escape, and now the track is extended for 25 to show us what that would look like. I tend to like doing small sections of 10 because I feel like it allows me to be more maneuverable in case I decide to go back and change anything. kind of allows me to move things around in case I want to add like switches or otherwise later on for, you know, changing the track instead of having large swaths of track that I now can't edit later. At least with 10, I kind of have an idea of how many I can break apart and slide something else in. If you ever want to make this into a full-on actual object, just click the Place Blueprint button again, and now it will appear as an actual physical piece of track. Now, instead of just trying to get all the way back to where we were with the track, I'm just going to do this. I have my middle button on my mouse set up so that when I click on something like that, it just gets me the item, which it will give me all the stats of the track that you have. So, a neat little thing. If you don't have that set up, you may want to go set that up in your options so that you have it and it's all ready to go. So let's undo that. And boom, more track is set. Now, one of the other things that you may have noticed while looking through some of my different rails is that they are bridges. The bridges are their own separate thing. You have to build supports for them, either manually or otherwise. There is a few that actually have come with this. I think it's the trestle track. Now, this one is a bit weird because this is all the trestle pieces, and then they have a separate one for the bench. So essentially, you're supposed to put down one trestle track, and then you put down the rest of these as kind of the connecting piece between it to create the bridge. For this to all work, you need to have your floating track options on and the ability to build without a block. I believe that's what it's called. Other than that, the main thing from here would be to talk about survival, but the issue is I have not tried this mod in survival. If you ever look through all the files, you will see tons of stuff for how to build these locomotives and trains and track from in here. It's absolutely something you can do. There is a survival version of this mod and you can build with it. I have personally never done that, and as such, this tutorial is not about that. This tutorial is just about using the mod in like a creative setting to build track. Now, what's going to happen here is, because you may have noticed I have a bit of an incline coming, is I could start inclining my track to go up and over this hill. But one of the things I'm thinking of doing is rather making a cutout with a tunnel. Because as you may notice, the hill is going to get much more hilly over here, which would allow us to actually have a tunnel. We'll see. What I do know is this is pretty much the main thing I wanted to do this entire video, was to just kind of show off better how to make track and kind of give you an idea of what it's like building for this mod. Now, I do have a few more things I'd like to finish and wrap up with, but for that, gonna need to have another night to day cycle, so just give me 1 second, guys. Alright guys, it's morning and I went ahead and flown us right back to town. Main thing I'm having to finish up this video with is I wanted to discuss a bit about building sizes. As you may have realized, these trains are much larger than normal. They are not your normal Minecraft sized objects, so they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks high. 5 blocks, there we are. So to give you an idea, if you're going to be building anything like bridges or otherwise, you want to be thinking in about 5 blocks worth of height. And then, naturally, the track itself is 3 blocks wide, and if you put 2 on each side, that's about 5 blocks worth of width space you need for any bridge, any tunnel, any object. And that's not even to include the fact that there are other models in this mod in various resource packs that are much taller, like, let's show you, for example, the Superliner. This is a more modern passenger car than what I've been showing you, but it's also much, much taller. It's about 6 to 7 blocks tall. So now you have to, for all tunnels, bridges, and otherwise, account for 7 blocks tall worth of space. So, when you're building a railroad for immersive railroading, please keep in mind your sizing. What type of trains are you trying to run through here? Are you ever going to want to run some of these bigger models? And if so, how are you going to accommodate for them? Because it's kind of harder to retrofit than it is to just build that way naturally. So, for this episode, we've went over building, we've went over sizing, and we've kind of went over a bit of diesel locomotives and how to drive them. Overall, I think we've covered a lot of ground, guys. For 2 episodes, I've built up a little base. I've shown you how to drive the trains. I've shown you how to build the railroads themselves. From here on out, it's pretty much just going to be me talking about my various techniques for building different things, like, say, cutouts and tunnels and bridges, which I don't tend to use things like little blocks or other mods like that. I tend to try and use, as much to my ability, Minecraft itself. So I'll be focusing on that, as well as showing off and discussing things like station builds and even things like my roundhouse, which is a bit more thrown together than normally would have, but I kind of built it on a whim. I was like, man, there's this really nice space over here right next to the station. You know what would be great there? A roundhouse. So, as you can see, it's not fully finished. There is definitely some things that need to be fixed. There's a lot of empty space in here, but man, those windows turned out really nice. And overall, I think this was a really fun, interesting build to kind of, as you may have seen, just pop up. But for now, this is all we're going to be talking and showing, and the next episode we'll be focusing more on the building aspect in a different way, more kind of discussing the building of, like, bridges and tunnels, depending. I'm going to essentially be building out the track, and we'll discuss the situation as I get to it. I may even start the videos with time lapses showing you the progression of the railroad being built up, because right now we're going to be looking at journey map here. Right now, this is the main area where we are. It's a big area. We've done a lot here. I've built a bridge, got the roundhouse, got the station and the water tower. I've even made a bit of a road away. And where that road is heading is actually going to be this little village that I found over here. So I figured I'd make this road go up and over through the mountains and stuff. So it actually goes somewhere and isn't just, you know, a piece of art. But also, what I want to do is I want to take this track and I want to kind of weave it to come out there. I'll probably end up just having it go straight because it's the fastest way. Maybe have it go up and over the hill, then down. Up and then maybe down along there, and then have it come across. But I do know the train's next stop is going to be this village here. So now it's the figuring of how to get from here to here. Plenty of room here for tunnels and cutouts and then bridges. So plenty of room for us to do multiple kind of fun, unique things and test out various different building techniques. And then finally someday we will kind of start working on bigger rail yards, like an actual like hub of a location. But that's going to be a bit further down the road and kind of more of a look for that close to around, I don't know, episode 20 or so. We'll get there, but it's going to be much farther away. For now, this is kind of where I'm going to leave you guys. As you can see, we have a lot of work to do, a lot of stuff to discuss, and I can't wait to just kind of build a railroad with y'all along. So, for now, I'm Silver. I hope you have enjoyed this little weird series that I'm doing on Minecraft and immersive railroading. I hope that you guys are enjoying this video series, and I hope that it's kind of helping some of you who have not started this mod or are brand new to it, kind of getting used to it and kind of getting a feel for it. Oh, and one last thing before I do in this, I kind of mentioned it last time, and since I'm moving on to new things, and since I'm here, I might as well show you. Turntables. They're great for turning your locomotives around. Now, the only issue is they only go one way. So with the wrench in your inventory, if you right-click on it, it turns the turntable. Just simply drive your locomotive onto it. I think this one still has enough steam and fire. Yes, it does. Just enough. Pull our little locomotive out here onto the middle. And now, if you right-click with the wrench, it will slowly change with the turntable. If you just hold it down, it will start spinning. Now, if I wanted to go in that way, that'd be a great way to do it. Or I could just keep going around until essentially it's back to the way it was. There we are. Now, how do you build around the edge of a turntable? That's actually probably a really good question to figure out right now, just to kind of show you guys, because it's not exactly shown right there. When you go into the track blueprint menu, you'll notice all these little pieces of track around the edge. Essentially, these are the invisible pieces that connect up to wherever your track can be. So that's why it does that little stop step, even if it's no longer has track near it, because it's still stopping at all these invisible spots. All you have to do is simply put track connected up to these spots, and bada bing, bada boom, your turntable now connects up to a piece of track. Alright, gonna put my locomotive back in the shed because I don't really have a use for it right now. This locomotive was pretty much used for testing to kind of show off, not to show off anything really. It was more used for me to kind of figure out the sizing for my station and where everything should go over there. 5, 4, 3, 2, stop the throttle, and it's gonna roll to a stop. Nice. Anyway, that's enough for now. As you can see, it's only able to go in a circle. It only goes one way. You can't change the direction, so if you miss it, you have to go all the way around again. But it's easy. It's really easy. There is a few other interesting things in here in the tools, but we'll get to them at a later date for other things. For now, this has been another episode of Minecraft. Minecraft Immersive Railroading. I don't know what I'm going to call these yet. I'll probably have a solid name next time. But for now, it's kind of all up in the air. I'm recording both these episodes before I ever put anything out. So, hey, behind the scenes. Alright guys, till next time, as night falls once more, I am Silver. I have been your satyr for your adventure into the grove. And, let's go game some. Alright guys, see you later.